obviously going on with YouTube celebrities. Well, going into combat sports, we have Jake Paul fighting Nate Diaz recently announced. How do you see that one going?
To be honest, I'd see. I think one of the things that people don't realize is Nate Diaz is primarily a boxer. Like, obviously, he has shown good jiu-jitsu and ground game in the UFC throughout his career, but he's a boxer. Like, fundamentally, he's a boxer, and I think people are overlooking him a lot. I do think Jake's going to win, only because Jake has been training boxing for the last 6 years, has proven to have knockout power in the boxing ring, and also has shown a good level of technical skill. Although he did lose to Tommy Fury, he did manage to go the full distance with him and also knock him down in the last round. Nate Diaz so far hasn't, to my knowledge, had an actual boxing fight, although he has been training boxing, and there's footage to prove that throughout his entire career. And obviously, he has knocked people out in his MMA career, but MMA is very different to boxing. So, in that respect, I would give Jake the edge, but I do think it's going to be a close fight. I think it'll be a harder fight than Askren and Woodley. I think, to be honest, it'll probably be on par with the Silver fight, but I do see Jake getting the victory.
Yeah,
Although I
like
wouldn't
you
be
said,
surprised if Nate Diaz does.
yeah, like you said, Nate Diaz is primarily a boxer in the UFC. Obviously, it's different with the ranges, more of a dirty boxer. Again, and people are up against the clinch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And obviously, he's learning a whole new style. He's not super old. I mean, he's in his 30s, and obviously, he's taken a lot of damage in the UFC. And he's someone he's like a zombie. I think. I don't,
Yeah,
are you a UFC fan? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, so you're familiar with his fights, how he'll just go forward. And with like Leon Edwards, for instance, one of the best strikers in the division and now a champion, he went the full 5 rounds with Leon, taking shots, taking shots, taking shots. And then in the last round, manages to catch him with a big right hand, almost finishes him. So it's like he's a zombie, and it's so hard to get him out of there. I mean, even until his last fight with Tony Ferguson, like you've got to really nail him down to get him out of there. And not many people have done it, especially in recent times. So will Jake be able to do that with 10-ounce gloves in the boxing ring? I'm not too sure. I think it's going to be really hard for him to do that. But my prediction for that fight would be Jake Paul winning a decision.
yeah. I see Jake Paul winning as well. Obviously, training boxing, like you said, for 6 years, compared to Nate Diaz training MMA and boxing.
Yeah. It's a difficult one, and obviously, like, he's got a short period of time to be able to pick that, to be able to match Jake, and he's not going to be able to do that from whenever he started training boxing, which I assume was probably just after. When was his last fight against Tony Ferguson? I think that was
It was
like
September, wasn't it?
it was September of 2022. Okay,
Yeah,
so he was talking about boxing after that. Let's say he doesn't start boxing training until a few months later. He's only going to have a real probably year of boxing training before going in there with but primarily boxing training, like only boxing training before getting in
yeah.
there with Jake. So it's going to be hard to be able to match that level.